So I bought my first Terminator Cobra August 1st, 2004. That's 20 years ago, almost to the day. And this morning, I'm flying out to Tennessee to go pick up another one. Drive it 800 miles home and bring you guys along for the trip. I can't wait, super pumped. Got an early flight this morning. We're gonna get it and then start the drive back through Tennessee, Arkansas, and then back to Texas, taking you guys along for this 800-mile trip. But first we got a flight to catch. So I made it to Knoxville, and the owner of the car is here to pick me up. We got about a 30-minute drive, and from there, I'm gonna go pick the Cobra up, get it all ready for the drive back. About 800 miles. Can't wait. Hey, what's up, man? Just came out of, what is this, down a baggage claim level. Just looking to see where I'm gonna find you. Behind the Hilton. Yeah, no, you're go. Oh, I see the Hilton right there. All right, cool. What kind of truck am I looking for? Oh, that's hilarious. A silver Tundra just pulled off right in front of me. Okay, cool. I think I'm about 200 yards away, so I will see you here in just a minute. Yeah.
Ready?
Yep. All right, guys, so the paperwork is done. Money's been exchanged, and this is the new car. 04 Cobra, torch red. It's got a Whipple E85, CCWs. I could not be more excited. So now we've got a drive back to Texas. And it looks like, let's pull this up, see what we have. So we've got 874 miles. We're gonna break this up into a 2-day trip. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is just get to Little Rock, Arkansas, spend the night there, and then do the last push into Texas. About 15 miles, we get on I-40 and just start heading west. Already getting super familiar with the car. Absolutely love it. I just cannot believe I found this. I can't believe I was able to buy it. And now I've got a really fun road trip back home to get used to it and bring back a whole bunch of memories from 10 and 20 years ago from whenever I had my first one. And God dang, I'm so excited. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Let's go for a ride. Tennessee is absolutely gorgeous. I think I'm gonna have a couple hours of these views while I'm getting out of Knoxville. It's going to take me to Nashville and then Memphis, and then I'll be heading out of the state into Arkansas. I'm still just absolutely in shock that I was able to get this car. It's been a long time coming to get back into one of these Terminators, and I love them. It really feels like I haven't missed a beat since selling mine, even though I had some other fun cars in between. I just have such a special place in my heart for these cars. They're so much fun, and for me, it's just really nostalgic. This one, check out the mileage. That's 27,600 miles. So on this trip, whenever we get back to the farm, we'll roll 28,000. I mean, that's still less than 1,500 miles a year. You know, the car's 20 years old, so it's got a couple little chips here and there, but it's basically show car status. A little rundown on it. This car, actually, the original owner was a really good friend of mine named Kevin. He tuned my first car and currently lives like 30 minutes south of me up in North Texas. He doesn't know I bought this car yet, and it's gonna be a really fun time to give him a call, and he knows I've been looking. I'm gonna see how tricky I can get, try to get some sort of a reaction out of him. But beyond that, once I get back to Texas, being able to have your tuner as a friend of yours, you know, check over it, make sure everything is good. I mean, it's driving absolutely perfect, but I think that'll be pretty fun for us to do. So with this car, it's got basically everything that you can do to these cars. It is still stock motor. It's got a 2.3 Whipple on, I think, 21 or 22 pounds of boost. E85 fuel system. It's sitting on CCW SP500s. Those are my absolute favorite wheels, period, let alone on a Cobra, but on this car, they just look incredible. Bassani X pipe, Borla catback. It's lowered. It's got all the different cooling mods, heat exchanger, tank. I'm gonna go through everything that the car has whenever I get back to Texas on the next video, but this one's making 715 wheel on E85. God, there's so many things I could say about this car that I don't know. This is going to be a way different ownership experience than my first one. The last one, I mean, that one was on slicks and skinnies a bunch. It was street raced all the time. It had a real similar supercharger boost E85 setup, and then I also had 100 shot of nitrous on it. This one's not going to see that. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm 39. I just don't have the desire to take this thing to the drag strip and beat the heck out of it. I just want to enjoy this car. Having over 700 wheel is just a whole nother way to enjoy it. So not saying this thing's not going to row through the gears, but it's definitely not going to get beat on as hard as my last one was. We're like 50 miles into this drive. Basically what the plan is I'm gonna get to the next E85 station, fill it up. Speaking of E85, so this was really cool. You can see that VP jug. When I locked in the purchase with the guy, I just went ahead, got online, ordered this yellow VP jug and had it sent straight to his house. I've got the E85 Fuel Finder app, but the last thing I want to do is get stuck somewhere between here and Texas and, you know, not be able to run it on pump, not find an E85 station, or it's closed, or, you know, Murphy's Law, whatever the heck's going to happen. So I've got a spare 5 gallons of it ready to go. Along the drive, the plan is to just stop at the different E85 stations along the way, keep it topped off. This far away from home, I am not doing any sort of dumb driving. This is going to see basically 70 miles an hour the whole way, 6th gear. I'm not risking anything. I don't want to break anything. The car's solid, but, you know, again, Murphy's Law, right? Anything can happen. So where we're at is I got my work computer. I'll be stopping a little bit along the way, you know, coffee, lunch, dinner, all that. Be able to work along the way, but for the most part, just cruising. Should be home tomorrow night. I'm going to stop and get a hotel sometime tonight, just depending on where the stopping zone ends up being. really right now, the only other thing I need to do, and this will be interesting to see if it even works, I brought a roll of blue painter's tape. Anytime I've ever bought a car that I've had to drive back, you know, a decent way, just bring a roll of blue painter's tape, tape up the front, try to protect it from any sort of rocks and excess bugs. This has like an amazing ceramic coat on it, and I don't even know if the blue painter's tape is going to stick. So we'll see. I'm going to do that, I don't know, probably sometime in the next hour or so, and that's going to be the next update. We'll see if this stuff's going to stick. But in the meantime, just cruising through the mountains of Tennessee. You guys got to check this out. So pretty. This is definitely not what North Texas looks like. So it's really making the drive really enjoyable already. All right, so here we go. First fill up, E85. All right, so we just stopped, got our first full tank of E85 after leaving Knoxville. Now it's experiment time. We're gonna see if this blue tape is gonna stick. If it does, you guys are about to see a time lapse of me covering the entire front end of this car to protect it from 800 miles to get back to Texas. So let's see. All right, y'all, so we're about 30 miles out from Nashville, and I think this is a really good time to talk about how I ended up getting this car and why this car specifically, right? So I think I've been looking since maybe April of this year, and originally I thought I'd be open to just about everything, you know, from fully modded twin screw car, bone stock, though those are getting extremely harder and harder to find, maybe even just a pulley bolt-on car, something that was blown up. I really put everything out there on SVT Performance as to saying, hey, let me see what you've got. Over, I don't know, maybe from there it was probably 3 months. All I found were either a handful of people that thought their cars were worth probably like 7 to 10 grand more than what they were actually worth. I don't know, maybe 2020, 2021, the prices on these got a little dumb, and I believe that probably affected some people's asking price, even though it wasn't realistic. But that wasn't even so much the problem. Really, the biggest issue I had was finding so many of these cars that on the outside, they looked like they'd be at 8.5 or better, but in reality, they had 8 or 10 owners, who knows what done under the hood, wire crimped, stuff cut, beat up, lies about what had happened to the car, paint, everything else. And I wasn't in that big of a hurry, even though I knew I really wanted to get into another Terminator. But at this price point, you know, I wasn't willing to really sacrifice on the car. Yes, there are plenty of these right around that $20,000 mark that you're going to get what you pay for, but you get a lot of car for $20,000. It's not gonna be in the best condition, but you know, definitely different than the ones that are in the 30s and up, right? So I don't know, maybe like a month ago, I just updated my post and my want to buy thread on SVT Performance, and I was like, you know, forget all the modded cars. I just want something stock. If you've got a bone stock car, or maybe intake and cat back, let me know. If it has much beyond that, I'm really gonna have to go over it with a fine tooth comb. So not a whole lot of options. I ended up finding 2 mineral gray cars. Both had like, I think less than 20,000 miles each. They were both in Texas. Would have been pretty convenient, but ultimately I didn't really want to give too much on the colors. I didn't want another silver one. I've already had silver. There's a couple other colors I don't really love. And what it really came down to was torch red, competition orange, or Mr. Chrome. Had to be a coupe. The other colors, I was really like take it or leave it with them, but they were gonna have to be a significantly better deal to pull me away from those 3 colors. Competition orange, as anybody knows in this market, they only made 281 coupes. They're hard to find, and if you do happen to find one, pricing is going to reflect the rarity. Mr. Chrome, there were over 500 Mr. Chrome coupes made, but the issue that I found was so many of them either had paintwork or needed paintwork, tons of rock chips. I just wasn't finding any that were in like that mid-range of around 30,000 miles. They either had 8,000 miles and a crazy price tag, or 80 and 90 with a bunch of rock chips, and just not really something that at the asking price that I thought really was worth it. So this car ends up coming up, and this really it changed my whole outlook on getting one that was modded. But the reason is because I knew the original owner. You know, like I mentioned before, Kevin tuned my first car. He lives 30 minutes from me. He's a good friend of mine, and I know exactly how well taken care of this car was. Granted, it's had a couple owners since, but in the amount of time that he sold it to me picking it up 2 hours ago, it's had like, I don't know, maybe 5,000 miles put on it, maybe. Some things were done to it, all of which I would have done personally. You know, it's got the CCWs. I love these wheels, and these are definitely my favorite. I don't wanted to put these on. Got an Apple CarPlay radio head unit that's installed. Really nice. Obviously, that wasn't an option 20 years ago when these things came out. And being able to just do everything from the phone, including GPS, just makes it so much easier. So with this car, I refer to this as a GTO car. And on the off chance that anybody watching this is studied poker pro, I do not mean game theory optimal. I mean gas, tires, and oil. This car has absolutely everything that I would have wanted on it, and it needs nothing other than gas, tires, and oil. You know, long tubes are one thing that I'm not going to say never, but I really love the sound of this. It's got the Pisani X pipe, or the catback, and I mean, right now we're at 70 miles an hour. There's no drone, it's not obnoxious, and I'm actually really loving the sound. I cannot think of a single other thing that this car could possibly need, especially for the way that I'm going to use it. You know, if I was going to race it more, I might consider a killer chiller. I had one of those on my other Cobra and absolutely loved it. They work phenomenally, and if any of you guys do have these cars and you do race them a lot, I would absolutely recommend getting a killer chiller on your car. They work so incredibly, and it's unreal. But otherwise on this, the only other thing that I plan on doing is this winter when the weather's really bad, I'm gonna pull the catback off and hand polish it to mirror finish. Kevin had originally done that on this car, and somebody that recently had it, I guess the tips were oxidized really, really bad, and he just decided to replace it with a brand new Morley catback instead of messing with the tips. I guess they couldn't be polished because it's chrome. So all in all, I'm fine with that. It gives me something to do as far as, you know, in the garage, messing with the car. But really, this thing is just going to be able to be enjoyed. I'm 143 miles into the trip already. And there's just something about an analog car, especially for me. You know, my last two cars were R35 GTRs, and it doesn't really get much more computer controlled than those cars. One made 1,000 wheel, one made 1,300 wheel, and you know, they were a lot to handle, but it still wasn't that driving experience, even that you get out of something that makes, you know, basically call it half of what the power is, with this one making a little over 700 wheel. But you know, a 6-speed car with a clutch, there's just something about it that makes the driving experience so much more fun. And I'm really, really happy to be back into this kind of car. So as of right now, I'm like 20 miles away from Nashville. We're gonna stop and get lunch, grab a coffee, and then we're just gonna keep pushing through. But just wanted to give a little recap on that, where the car's at, and what got us to here. Okay, I know I just said I was done talking about that, but I have to come back on and say one more mod that's for sure happening is this windshield's getting tinted. I don't know the last time I had a vehicle that didn't have a tinted windshield, and I am absolutely reminded why. This is brutal. I'm driving west, I'm in Tennessee. I don't even think it's that, I mean, well, whatever, it's 95, so, I mean, it's hot, but it is cooking in here. Yeah, the AC works awesome, but you can absolutely feel the sun just penetrating straight through this windshield so bad. So I will definitely be getting that changed. We're going to be probably do, I don't know, 35, 40% on there or something. And that is going to be a huge help, because for any of y'all that have not ever had a windshield tinted, you are absolutely missing out. You don't even have to go with, you know, that dark of a film for it to make a big difference. I'll be filming that, so whenever I take it to my local tint shop, go through a couple different options and hopefully be able to see it, you know, through the camera, just laying it over top of the windshield. But definitely gonna be tinting this thing. It's gonna make a huge difference. Yeah, this is nuts. Just wow. All right, so got to Nashville for lunch and had every intention of going to Cava, and instead saw Whole Foods right in front, and I am huge on coffee for road trips, so I knew it would make a whole lot more sense to do that. So hit up the hot bar that they had and got a, what is this, almost 1.5 liters of coffee. So now we're all set. Ate a full meal for the first time all day since waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Now we're gonna get to Little Rock, and I think it's 5 hours away, so should get there a little bit before dark. So let's get after it. All right, fill up number 2. I think we're getting kind of close to Memphis. Car's been doing absolutely awesome, just driving flawlessly, 70 miles an hour, no issue. I think I was right at 200 miles on that last tank, so pretty much what I expected on E85. Other than that, plan right now is just get to Little Rock tonight. I think I'm gonna grab a hotel there and then do the last 4.5 hours or so, whatever it is, back to the farm. Really just don't want to be driving at night with all the deer and any wildlife that could possibly jump out. I don't want to take any chances, so just gonna do that. Plus, on top of that, I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning. I think my alarm went off to get to DFW airport in time for a 5 a.m. flight, and got to Knoxville airport, and it's just been a long day. It's 5 o'clock now, so super long day. I'm wired. Even with without the coffee, I'd be just no issue staying awake. Still kind of just really surreal that I got the car. Really funny. Messaged Kevin, the original owner of the car. He lost it. He could not believe that I just bought it. So we're gonna plan to meet up when we're both back in Dallas. He's got a work trip or something, I think. So we're gonna meet up. He's obviously still got the original tune of the car. We're gonna data log it. Probably he's gonna go down memory lane with this car. But other than that, do fluids, filters, data log, make sure the tune's still spot on, which I assume it would be. But it's gonna be a lot of fun also to see him with the car for the first time since 2011. So that's that'll be really fun to film. Otherwise, oh man, I've been driving an F250 or F350 for so long that I forgot what it's like to fill up a car for under $40. So all set, time to hit the road. All right, we got an unexpected pit stop in Memphis. I've gone through a quarter of a tank, but unfortunately there's not another E85 station between here and Little Rock, Arkansas, except for these 2 random stations on the south side of Memphis, which, yeah, keep the doors locked. I'm gonna go top this thing off, and then that will for sure get me all the way to Little Rock. It would have been close, but even with the 5-gallon jug that I've got right there, didn't want to roll the dice with it, so just gonna go fill this thing up and then make our way over to Little Rock in this thing. So all right. All right, so here's the update. I know I talked a little bit of trash about Memphis. There definitely was a bad part that I went through. There are only 2 E85 stations in this entire city. So I guess if anybody out here is trying to make horsepower, good luck unless you live down on the south side of town. Fortunately, pulled up to the first one and the pump acted like there was just nothing there, and that is exactly what happened. Completely out of E85. So there was another station that was like 8 miles away. Ended up going there with my fingers crossed, just hoping that that one was going to have it. Sure enough, it did. Put 7 or so gallons in, filled it up, and now we've got 161 miles to get to Little Rock. That's where I'm going to crash for the night. Thankfully, my wife is the MVP, and she's currently booking me a room there, so I'll just be able to pull up, go get the room, and crash, because I've been up now at this point, or by the time I get there, God, what's that going to be? Something like 20 hours. So long day, great day, but we're set now. Don't really have to worry about anything with ethanol. There's plenty of stations once I get to Arkansas, so we're all good there. This was kind of like the only little gray area that didn't have much. So car's filled up, car's great. Sun's going down. As you can see, it's actually, there's a damn wall, but on the other side of that wall, it's a really nice sunset. So a little under 3 hours to go. Gonna get there, and then tomorrow get up whenever I feel like it and do the last bit of this drive to get back to North Texas. So that's it for now. So I always miss odometer rollovers, and this one I'm absolutely not going to. Got the camera out ready to go. 28,000 miles, 2004 Cobra, 20 years old, it just rolled 28,000 miles. Awesome. All right, so now it's Tuesday morning. Last night was a beating. I was on 40. It was looking like I was going to get to this hotel sometime around 10 o'clock. Next thing you know, everything on the maps turns red. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I try to find an exit. There was none. Next thing you know, I'm just like dead stop traffic with myself and a bunch of 18-wheelers. This turns into like a 2-hour something delay. Can't get to Little Rock, having to go back through all these farm roads, everything else. I'm on the phone with my wife. She ends up booking the hotel for me. She's looking online and she finds out that like these 3 18-wheelers, they wreck. Unfortunately, one of the drivers dies. One of the 18-wheelers was transporting some sort of explosive ordnance for the military. I don't know what it was, but they route us like 30 miles north. They had everything blocked off, pretty crazy. Ended up getting to the hotel a little after midnight, shower, try to go to sleep, 12:30. Didn't sleep too great. It's 8:48, so getting ready to roll out now. Need to fill the car up and then do this last push back to Texas. I think it's like 5 hours, maybe a little bit more, but starting early. Should at least feel like I'm gonna have some of the day back at home. So I'm gonna go grab some coffee, try to find a decent breakfast, and then hit the road south. So let's go. All right, so now that we're driving through Arkansas, I got a full tank of fuel. Do a little history lesson on these cars. If y'all are still watching this, it's pretty safe to say you're big fans of the Terminator Cobras. You probably know a lot of this. Some of y'all don't, so we're just gonna run through it because I've got about 200 more miles to go. So Ford's SVT program, Special Vehicle Team, it started in 1993, and they rolled out the Cobra and the Lightning. Performance models of, you know, the super historic Ford Mustang, and then the Lightning was a 2-door pickup. Throughout the years, I think there were Cobra models almost every single year. 93 was a Fox, and then right after that, it went right into the SN95 body style. Around 2000, so the 01 Cobra came out, and completely just lackluster performance. Owners were pissed off. People were taking these cars straight to the dyno, and the power numbers that they were making were well below what Ford was claiming. So I don't remember exactly what they did. I know that there was for sure a retune that you could take your car to the dealership for. Might have given you like a jacket or something. But with Ford's performance with the Cobra really just falling off a cliff, a lot of people were going to GM. You had the C5 Z06, obviously the LS1 that they put in a couple different cars is just an absolutely historic engine and has so much potential. Well, 2002 rolls around, and John Coletti, he's the lead SVT engineer, he comes out, and his entire plan was to just throw the whole budget of SVT into a couple development cars. And yes, the Lightning got some big power boosts, looked great, but the biggest one was the Cobra. So owners had been asking for things for a long time. John Coletti delivered. These cars, they come from the factory. You've got a hand-built iron block forged engine. You've got the Eaton M112 supercharger, makes 8 pounds of boost stock, independent rear suspension. People are kind of, you know, one side or the other on that. Obviously, when it comes to the Cobras, some people will swap them for a solid rear. I love the independent rear. They put a T56 transmission in it. I love the seats, reverse glow gauge clusters, big 17-inch wheels. They really just did absolutely everything that they could to keep this car under a $40,000 sticker. And most people, including myself, were buying them right around $30,000 right off the dealer lot. In 2002, when they started hitting dealer lots, people were buying them, and like Mustang enthusiasts do, started modding them right away. It was pretty evident then just how strong these motors were. You were able to do chip, pulley, intake, exhaust, make mid 400s wheel for a couple $100s. It was not expensive back then at all. It's really not even that expensive now if you were to somehow find a bone stock one. Ford advertised these as making 390 horsepower, 390 foot-pounds of torque. That's supposed to be like flywheel or engine horsepower, brake horsepower, whatever you want to call it, not to the wheels. We were taking these cars straight to the dyno. Mine made 388 bone stock in Houston, and it was really evident that Ford underrated these cars and over-delivered when it came to performance and power power capabilities of what you could throw at them. Through the years, Kenny Bell and Whipple came out. They introduced twin screw superchargers for these. I think it was around 08 or 09 when E85 really came onto the scene. It started with some of the import guys, and quite a few of us in the Cobra world just jumped right on it, and making 700 wheel with, you know, just twin screw supercharger setup, all the bolt-ons, exhaust, and E85 fuel system was pretty commonplace. And I think that's been the biggest draw to these cars 20 years later, for not just myself, but everybody. You're seeing the market for these is getting more and more difficult to find cars, especially clean ones that haven't had a bunch of owners or been ragged out. And the potential of them is just, it was way ahead of its time, and still is just like this performance bargain. So John Coletti comes out, and his stated goal was to end all the debates, terminate the competition. And, you know, codename Terminator for these cars is really what stuck. So 21, 22 years later from when they were first released, and you go to an event, these cars absolutely turn heads. You could still pick one up and, you know, just like this one, bolt-ons, twin screw, and a fuel system, and make low to mid 700s. My first car, I had that, and then 100 shot of nitrous on it. Stock engine, never even had the valve covers off. So that gives you a little bit of the backstory of these cars, the history of them, and why they're just so popular today, why they still have this cult following. They're incredible, and I'm really excited to pick this one up and take you guys along on the journey with this car. For all you road warriors that love doing road trips and stuff, y'all know that snacks are absolutely imperative. I didn't show you guys my snack bag that I packed, so we're gonna take a break from the normal Cobra conversation and footage and all that. We're gonna go through some really important stuff. So these three are amazing. These Bison Cranberry Epic Bars, #1, undefeated, undisputed. Chomps, regular ones are good, but jalapeno, amazing. So you need something a little sweet. Lara bars. These are the last three of the entire bag. Went to Natural Grocers before this trip, loaded up. I've got 170 miles to go. This should be the right amount of snacks to go till we get home. Either way, wanted to show you guys those. They're awesome. Highly recommend them. Don't go eating all that gas station garbage food when you're on your road trips. Bring your own stuff. right, guys, so right as we got back to the farm, just rolled 900 miles. It's a heck of a road trip. It was a lot of fun to get used to the car, get to learning it a little bit. 2 full days in it. I'm definitely ready to stretch my legs. Didn't really sleep that great in the hotel last night. But yeah, so the plan now is just get the stuff out of it that the previous owner gave me, get it cleaned up tomorrow, and then my wife and I, we both work remote, so we're gonna go take this, go to the coffee shop. She's never ridden in anything fast, so this is gonna be her first time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can go find some good roads. Let her see what 700 horsepower feels like. Let's go for a ride. Guys, thanks so much for coming along on this journey to pick up my Cobra. Drive was awesome, 900 miles, 0 issues other than the crazy traffic we had outside of Little Rock. About to take my wife for the first ride in it, so we're gonna go do a little bit of work at the coffee shop and stretch her legs a little bit. So really looking forward to making a whole bunch more content with this car. Definitely subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this one. It helps a ton, and I'm really excited to put some videos out on this car.
What do you guys think of this?